gentlemen, good evening. My name is Izzy, and today I'll talk about the Robbers Cave experiment. Let me tell you a story. In 1954, a psychologist named Muzaffar Sharif invited 22 12-year-old boys to a special summer camp at Robbers Cave State Park in Oklahoma, where they were put into two separate groups. None of the boys knew each other, and they first spent days bonding over games and swimming and treasure hunts. And they soon developed strong senses of belonging to their groups, and even named themselves the Eagles and the Rattlers. Soon, not surprisingly, the two groups shared a mutual dislike for each other, and they didn't like the other group sharing their dining hall or their playground. And their conflicts soon went from occasional complaints to their counselors to insisting on having a competition to determine which group was better. This may seem like a very childish thing to us right now, but it is actually exactly what the researchers wanted to see. In fact, the Sharif wanted to test what it takes to overturn the realistic conflict theory, which stated that conflict happens when you combine negative prejudice with competition over resources. So over the next couple of days, the boys competed against each other, they competed against each other, but after that, the counselors integrated the two groups and gave them shared goals that could only be achieved through cooperation. Not surprisingly, all 22 boys were able to successfully complete their tasks. And what played the role here are what some may consider the very definition of human nature: aggression and altruism. Now, you may think that my speech is a little different from the others. You may consider my speech as a lecture regarding the psychological version of war and peace. Let's get started. In psychology, aggression is defined as the behavior intended to hurt or destroy someone or something, or even ourselves. People aggress in many ways, verbally, emotionally, or even physically. And the frustration may form out of anger, to assert dominance, or to respond to fear or pressure. Aggression can result from a specific situation, like when someone is blocked from reaching their goal. Like, for example, when we are having trouble solving a math problem when the deadline is approaching, or when we're having an argument with our friends or family members. However, sometimes in extreme cases, our action may go completely out of control, and we may do something or say something that we may regret later in our lives. But more importantly, us as teenagers going through puberty, it is more important for us to understand how to control our emotions and to understand that it is natural for us to experience this. Yet, of course, luckily, us humans are more than just our bad tempers, and there is always a positive side to balance out the negative. Altruism is here to save us. Altruism is the selfless or even self-sacrificing action in regard for the well-being of others, even when it does not benefit ourselves sometimes. This can range from something simple, like throwing out the trash for our neighbors, to something more heroic, like running into a burning building to save some strangers' children. But if being altruistic is so awesome, why aren't we like that all the time? Or maybe the better question is, why do we ever do anything selfless? Naturally, people will hence believe that the world would be a much better place if altruism were to be the standard of human behavior. And it does sound very appealing if someone can assist us and give us a hand without asking for anything in return, right? But when you think about it, when people do help others, they may be doing it mainly out of self-interest. I know this concept is not altruistic at all, and it is relatively negative, actually, when we mention it in our daily lives. But at the same time, self-interest is hard to abandon completely, and it is quite inevitable. Like, let's be honest here. When we pitch in on a project at school or work, not because we love doing extra work, but maybe because we hope to get recognized or promoted by our teachers or our bosses. Just like those robbers cave boys I mentioned at the beginning of my speech, the boys were on opposite sides when given competition and conflict. That is when self-interest is divided and can only be achieved by taking the other's benefits away. However, when given shared goals, the boys were able to let go of their field and reach a common ground to cooperate with each other. When you think about it now, self-interest is not that bad, actually. As long as we go and share our goals with others and care about others' feelings, we can always cooperate, even when self-interest exists. So I hereby call upon all of you, because we are all social animals in need of social consent and respect, please be kind and friendly to our friends and family members, and understand that by doing so, we are encouraging them to do the same by creating this loving and supportive social atmosphere. If greed and self-interest can destroy the world, perhaps a bit of kindness and cooperation can save it. My name is Izzy. Thank you for listening, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the evening. And sorry for the trouble with the PowerPoint.